Hey guys, I've got a lot to cover. Let me do these 8 screenshots in this video though. Skenius got liftoff, right? This whole thing about the website Flipping Club, and then we started with Skenius, we got liftoff. Now we've been doing a lot of stuff with template strength in the background and so on, and I was waiting. At this point, I've actually been studying a few things for results. So I'm going through that in these screenshots. So one of them was, if all we do is recreate the old content, nothing fresh, nothing new, but we make sure the canonicals are right, we make sure the 301 redirect the links to the right pages, and we get it updated on the template for max page speed. We did that. Now we have liftoff. What that means is Google finally reconnected with this site and said, okay, and here's where you left off, and you're going there now, and so liftoff with old stuff. Now's the point where we get to start adding in. And as we do, we're going to drive this up hard and fast, and that's going to go up hard and fast. That's great. Now, what's the other stuff I want to point out that's huge? Okay, I just want to kind of get there. All right, first of all, here's one thing I think is really huge. We talk about what it takes for a website to rank for a keyword, and the keywords and the keyword difficulty, and what you're up against in the way of SERP, right? What are the domain rankings or ratings of the websites that are in the top 10 for the keyword? How do you compare, right? Check this out. This I thought was pretty amazing. So here is some keyword which has a ranking difficulty of 26. So apparently this guy's pretty good because there's competition, definite competition for his stuff. Having said that, boom, 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 boom. We're number 4, okay? Shot up 19 positions to number 4, and that's us, Skenius. Now, I want to point this out. This keyword has a ranking difficulty of 26, right? And Spyfo hasn't even figured out our domain strength yet, but it's like, that's it. It's low. And I think it's around like 11 or 14 right now, and yet we're competing with the big boys, for 20. And what do I think is the biggest reason for that? Because we didn't even add a word to the page or anything, okay? We just recreated the old pages and put them back up. I think what matters is exactly the page speed is off the charts, which is neat because guess what happens when we add everything else in? See, it's a game of multiple advantages. You can create more content, improve the page speed, improve internal linkage throughout the website, stuff like the table of contents and links in paragraphs. And you can backlink the website. And the more of the whole you do, the more these parts help each other with the net result, right? So I'm very impressed to see that even without any kind of domain strength like this website again has like an 11 or 14 for domain strength. It's showing up for a 26 keyword ranking difficulty, which, believe it or not, is off the charts for something with a domain rating that low. Okay, let me continue. Okay, I want to make this point crystal clear for anyone who doesn't know. And you probably already know because I hammer on this stuff, or else you already know it anyway. Every keyword that you think to type into Google at any given time, if it's a good a transactional keyword, the kind of thing that people are aiming for and competing for because lots of people type it. And we all know what these keywords are. 2-word combinations or 3-word combinations that are really direct, right? Any words like that will have keyword difficulty, or else if it doesn't have keyword difficulty, it just has a dash or a keyword difficulty of 0. Meaning, yeah, Google sees it a lot, but no one's competing for it, okay? But things that people compete for, especially for the purpose of business, has a keyword difficulty, somewhere between 1 and 100. And the more people compete for the keyword, the more pressure there is, the harder it is for newbies to break into the game. That means that keyword difficulty has gotten stronger. And it goes up to 100. Well, once it hits 100, what if it's just the same companies competing for it and nobody new ever comes? Does the keyword difficulty never budge? Well, if it's at 100, it maxed out at the top. So let me rephrase the question. What if it got up to 60? Okay? And only these guys keep competing and putting out new content every day, but nobody new ever comes along. Does the keyword difficulty increase above 60? Yes. because these guys are hammering out more content, more content, more content to compete with each other, which makes those keywords, that keyword, all the harder for anyone new to reach. Okay, that's what makes the difficulty rise on keywords. But since keyword difficulty is capped at 100, it means all the guys who hit it and they keep adding power and adding power and adding power and adding power and adding power, keyword difficulty does not increase past 100. Instead, everything else gets shoved down by diminution. So the curve gets deeper, right? Keyword difficulty low and then higher and then higher and then higher. Well, that just gets thicker and thicker and thicker, right? Getting from one point to the next gets way harder, right? So there you go. Competing for this takes effort. All right, every keyword has keyword difficulty. I just wanted to be clear on that. Let me go to the next frame because I'm pointing it out. Like, what does it take to show up for this keyword? How much domain strength do you need to show up for that one? How much domain strength do you need to show up for this one, right? It's got a lot less keyword difficulty. Well, guess what? Here's how you find out. Visit your keyword of choice with whatever the ranking difficulty is, and these are the top 10 results on Google. It's just as being reproduced here for the analysis, right? Here's who those top 10 guys are, okay? And their page title, the thing you would normally read, their page title, right? What is the domain in each case, right? There it is. It's all right here for you to see. Okay, this is the strength of the domain, the strength of the domain, the strength of the domain. Does that make sense? So it doesn't simply matter what the keyword difficulty is. It might be a 54, but you're also looking at the domain strengths. Here's what we can think, just generically. Again, how is that possible? If you have the same domain strength, it means the same number of backlinks, but you keep putting out new press articles about why you're the best locksmith, Seattle Wah, you know, right here. Okay, if you keep creating new content for the keyword, the difficulty rises, but your domain strength may stay the same. It's based on backlinks. Literally based on backlinks from other websites. So here's what you know. If you want to be one of the top 10 and compete for this, you probably need a domain strength at least as good as the lowest guy in the list. The lowest guy in the list here is a 28, okay? So I would need to expect to have a domain strength or a Ahrefs domain rating of 28 or better to even have a chance at this thing. By the way, is domain strength at SpyFu identical to the Ahrefs domain rating measurement, number for number? No. But what's important is just to think in the phraseology of it all. Like, I can go look up these guys' Ahrefs score and just make my own determination as to how I like correlating domain strength and domain rating. But having said that, the numbers very often are something similar. And so if this is an Ahrefs domain rating of 28, right, to compete, I know that's what I'm aiming for. Again, I can look some of these guys up on Ahrefs and just see what the numbers compare to with that scale instead of this scale. That way I know what I need to accomplish since I am using Ahrefs domain rating the most. Okay, so again, I got to make sure to play ball for domain strength. I've got to make my domain strength, according to SpyFu, something competitive with these guys. And most likely, the smallest number isn't going to be enough. I mean, we all say that, but really, I think I would need something like a 40 to be a solid top 10 player for this keyword. Now, between positions 1 and 100, I might only need a domain strength of like 15. Maybe even 5. You know, I may show up in the top 100 for this keyword, like the top 10 page results, okay, with a domain strength that's low, like 8, you know. But if I want to get to be in the top 10, I better get more popularity. I need more websites voting for my website so my domain strength rises high enough to even possibly compete. Okay? Does that make sense? Low domain strength, you cannot compete for this. Domain strength up in this range, you can compete for this. The rest of what makes these numbers different is that there's just more play. This is a factor in the overall score. But it is important. You see nothing here with a domain strength of 0, right? You never see domain strength 5 ranking for keyword difficulty of 50. It doesn't happen. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. All these guys, it's kind of similar for domain strength, except this guy comes in at 20 for the 26 ranking difficulty. But you know why? His domain name is Cheap Locksmith Seattle, which is Cheap Locksmith Seattle. Notice he's number 4, not number 1. And how come? Well, because he doesn't have much domain strength. When he had a domain strength of like 5 or 10, he wouldn't even be on this page. Doesn't matter that his URL is the same as the keyword. It wouldn't matter. He has too little domain strength. That's why sometimes you see exact match domains on the front page and sometimes you don't, right? Really, domain strength is a big part of that. Content is also a part of that. But there you go. You never see domain strength of 5 showing up in the top 10 for a ranking difficulty of 26. Okay. Here is something very, very cool. Consider this a secret, okay? I wonder how many of you thought about it. What if we got 100 domains, even if they're brand new? What if we got 100 domains that are brand new and we use some to backlink others? Well, they all started off with a domain rating of 0. What if we use some to backlink others? Do their domain ratings go up? So far, no. Not for domains that are less than a year old. But domains that have had a history and their domain rating used to be higher, but their age, they've been around a while, like several years or some, at least 2 years. I'll show you pretty shortly. But take a look. This domain here, SeattleEmergencyLockandLocksmith.com, I just want to make this clear, okay? How many referring domains has it got? Well, it used to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. These 5. Just directories, really. Places where you can list your business. But now we have a new one, which also has a domain rating of 0. Like that one, right? But it's another relevant, high-quality website. So I took a DR0 and I backlinked a DR0. What happened when Ahrefs caught on to it? The domain rating shot up because of that one new domain. Can you believe it? There used to be 5 referring domains and it had a domain rating of 0. All 5 of those domains didn't even budget to a 0.1. But we had one of our own websites that's developed well. Internally, it's great. It doesn't have any domain rating yet, but it can pass juice. And it did. To the point where this picked up a domain rating of 3.8 off that one website. That's quality. Even though that one website has a domain rating of 0. So how can we mastermind control over domain rating so we can compete for the keywords we want? I'm getting there. Yep, this is a page. I took a bunch of accident attorney websites from not 1 but 2 years ago. Okay, so it's the first time I did it was for a single client who ordered them. Okay, and we just put up a stack of pages on each of the websites. They were spin tags. This is before GPT. Okay, this is some time ago. But do you know what? When we built the project, we did create cross-linking. Okay? And here's what wound up happening. Some of these websites, like this one, got backlinked by 75 other websites. Granted, spin tags, lower quality, the pages, not many pages themselves on the website, whatever. And those websites are also linking out to a bunch of other websites. So it's splitting the juice up. So this is getting about half the point score per domain. And so instead of like a 1-to-1 ratio or better, it's like a 0.5 ratio. It's like it takes 2 referring domains to get 1 point, 3 referring domains to get 1.5 points, something like that. Now, of course, it's not a fair way of putting it, because the higher you want to go on domain ranking rating, the more domains you need. It gets exponential no matter how you slice it. So all I want to say is, even with the domains not being that hot in terms of content, they're still passing juice. Okay? This one passed that much juice, right? This one, somehow the content on it was a little better, it had more pages or something, it passed like the same amount of juice, right? And so on. This one passed slightly less for some reason. Maybe the pages from here average fewer pages per site or something. But do you see what's going on? Domain rating of 31 to 38. Isn't that great? That's like 25 websites altogether did that. You see about 19 here. What if we took these 25 best DR websites and then we split them into groups of 5 and we did tiering from the bottom 5 to the next 5 up, those 5 to the next 5 up, those 5 to the next 5 up, those 5 to the top. Then we can drive the DR higher on the highest on the top 5, next highest on the next batch down, next highest on the next batch down, next highest on the next batch down. So the top guys can rank for the most keywords overall, while the second batch down ranks for the second most keywords overall. That means we have more websites in that sort of upper middle layer, and then those 10 are showing up alongside the next 5 down for their keywords in the middle layer, and then those 15 for the lower middle layer, and those 20 for all of the low layer, right? So you can have multiple results per keyword for as many keywords as you can pull it off. Be 10 of the results when you can be 10. When you cannot be 10, be 9. When you cannot be 9, be 8. When you cannot be 8, be 7 of the front page results. Keyword by keyword by keyword. The formulas that we're using here pull it off. And what I love about all of this is absolute proof that domains which are at least more than a year old, that had a DR0 and never had backlinks, can be used to drive link juice to other domains and force those domains to have backlinks, which increases their domain rating, which increases their ability to show up for keywords. This can probably rank for any keyword difficulty up to about 22 or so. Now we need to put like at least 20 to 40 pages on the site for it to do that. Right now it's got like 8 pages. Okay, it's too small to rank for anything. And you know, we build in like table of contents and stuff, since that's really, really awesome. You know, so it's all good. This is the catalyst to make it possible to rank for the keywords. Still need to create the pages for the keywords you go after. So I would start here and go, what can we earn? Then I would go to SpyFu and look up those keywords. Keyword difficulty up to around a 25. With search volume of at least 5 searches a month or better. Okay? Exclude the near me's, because they're just in the way. You don't build pages that rank for near me. You let Google just realize what the searcher meant when they typed near me. So if you rank for contact accident attorney Chicago, and someone in Chicago is saying need to contact an accident attorney near me, then you could show up for that, because Google knows that the guy's in Chicago. It's looking for listings in Chicago, and it sees that you're in Chicago. Okay? You don't need to have a web page that says near me on it. Okay. Anyway, I think you get the idea. That's the stack of screenshots right now. What I wanted to say is we can force, through backlinking of our own domains, we can force the rank to rise, and then we can take those to force the top players to rank for the best keywords, and then the next biggest group to rank for the next batch down as well, and then the next biggest to rank for the next big batch down as well, etc., right? What if we already sorted our websites with domain ranking being up there in whatever our industry is, right? What have we been using? Landscaping. I want to make the point. See this? Domain rating of 32, 21, 18, 11, 777, or whatever. Say we go buying these things. And then say we do our backlinking thing through them. You know, such that we're using the highest powered ones at the bottom to push the rest up. Do you get it? We can have a better than net sum result. Before, you had to have masters and DR0 slaves that will push them up. Now, your DR0 layer can start off with those big numbers. And they can be used to push up. Do you see the value of that? So we can literally use our combinations. What if we only used expired domains that had DR of at least 4 or better, you know? And then we started backlinking through those stacks, right? And yeah, I mean, we can clean them up, disavow any backlinks or whatever. But the reality check is, if we're doing this kind of thing, we can provide a tremendous amount of ranking power to pretty much any websites we want. And a final point I want to make, the more I look, the less worried I am about matching the category. If there was an article in the newspaper about just general news, it's talking about everything under the sun, and then it links out to you in one of the paragraphs because it's talking about something having to do with you, and then it's got a link to you to read more for whatever it is that's going on. It's just a link in the paragraph to you for a keyword, right? In case anyone wants to click it and keep reading about that, they're doing it on your site. That's fine. It counts. It adds to your score. You might think, well, it's not the best score. The answer is, so what? Do you need the best score from every backlink? No, you need scores from backlinks. They add up, right? Just let them. Some of your backlinks will be more useful than others, that's all. But having said that, you see it all the time. I've seen landscaping sites in LA that wanted to prove they were in LA, and so they'd say, you know, we do landscaping for schools like, and then they'll have a list of like Garfield High School, another high school, middle school, elementary school, and they'll all be hyperlinked with links to the schools. Now, if you look at the school websites and you check their backlink listing, they've got backlinks from the locksmith website. And it counts. I've seen lots and lots of articles where there is some relationship. Now, there's a level of quality we expect, and then there's a level of garbage that we don't like, right? We don't want spam any more than anyone else. But pretty much any paragraphs that are worth reading, on pages that are worth reading, no matter what industry they're in, if they link through to you, that's best. Those links can count if they're from a different language and linking to you in your language, say, but doesn't count as much, right? You know, and overseas doesn't count as much. But for all the links you can get in the same country, in the same language, don't turn down most links. Don't disavow most links. Most links add value to you. It's only when you get like 1,000 backlinks from one website and there's no explanation for it. They just created 1,000 pages on their website that all backlink you. This is all stuff we kind of used to do in the old days like everyone else. But now in the new days, really, if you're just following simple, sensible rules, you cover a tremendous amount of ground. And that's because GPT takes care of the hard part of creating quality content. The rest of the rules were always pretty easy. It is just, can you write in such a way to justify the backlink? Yeah, you can. All right, there you go. There's this. I've got more to discuss that's even deeper, but I'll save it for a different video. I don't want to get too far off topic. I think you get the point here, though. And the biggest thing I wanted to prove was that we are able to take DR0s and backlink other DR0s for websites that are at least a year old, like a year and a half old or more. And we can force domain rating to increase. It may be possible for us to buy domains off the shelf and backlink them right away and cause this, but I have yet to see it. I've gone through a bunch of domain stacks where we already had the domains up for months, like 10 months. And I created the multi-tiered system, and I'm checking now. So far, I still see DR0 for everything. Not sure why. I think Google doesn't want to give any power to the websites for the first year anymore, really. And so you can get human value from backlinks. If you've got people going to certain pages and reading, and you get a backlink in that page, especially an obvious one that points at you, then yeah, that can drive traffic to you, of course, right? That's different than the SEO value of the backlink, which is exactly the kind of thing we're discussing here. I'll keep you appraised if I see new stuff happening with new domains, but so far all the experts are saying if I build 2 projects at the same time and I start right here and I build them and I wait for Google to start ranking them, okay? If I do one on a brand new domain that I bought for 10 bucks, I created the domain name, it never existed. And I do another one on an expired domain that has some quality already, okay? And we've already got backlinks to the site that way. Then the new domain will take like a year to kick off, while the expired domain will start kicking off like a month or 2 in. Wow, okay? So yeah, we are learning big time. All right, we're about to do a lot of projects all at once, and I'll explain that in more detail later, but I definitely wanted to give you this update and prove the first part that we need to prove, which is we can do it. We can force our websites to backlink our other websites to drive their domain rating up. I mean, these are all on the same server, and they all have the same IP, and yet they drive the scores up so that you can show up for keywords. Now we just need to do the rest of our job, get enough pages onto these websites for topical authority, you know, for topics that relate to the point, that are not all pitching, they're informational, not transactional. Okay, we can put our ads through there. We can have our transactional style menu at the top, you know, menu with the links that lead to our transactional pages. We can have a call to action scrolling up and down saying, hey, if you're ready for this, click here to go to it. That's transactional. That's fine. You can have ads in the page. They're transactional. You can have an exit pop up. So when somebody goes to leave the page, it pops up with an offer. That's transactional. That's all fine, as long as you didn't cover up the informational, as long as you didn't totally hide the informational. You can stick your ads in between sections. You can stick your ads on the sidebars. You can have a link appear between page loads, right? You can have your call to action bar scroll. You can have your exit pop up. You can have your top menu. But the page has still got to do its job. But it can even have links in the paragraphs that lead to other pages, and some of those pages can be transactional. Don't make them all transactional. Google catch that. That's like backlink spam. But if you just allow those links to go to the best page for what those links are, and some are transactional and many are informational, Google will be fine with that. All right. Yeah, a lot going on. I'll talk to you soon.